Hello, good evening and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Nadim Majid.
And I'm Katrina Chang.
Now, it is revealed in Parliament today that a credible domestic investigation into alleged human rights violations in the country will be initiated.
The Foreign Minister also informed the House of the government's position on engagement with the UN and the Human Rights Council.
Now, what did the Minister have to say? We have that and more news from Parliament coming up. Let's start with a look at the headlines.
New Army Commander appointed. Major General Krishantha Perera receives letter from President. Investigations on fraud and corruption at snail pace, alleges JVP. Vaccine meant for dogs injected into a human in Kaluthara. Brendan McCallum scores fastest half-century in World Cup history. England suffer their worst defeat.
Major General Krishantha de Silva was appointed the new commander of the Sri Lanka Army today by President Maithripala Sirisena.
Major General Krishantha de Silva received his letter of appointment this morning from President Maithripala Sirisena in his capacity as Commander-in-Chief at the Presidential Secretariat. Major General Krishantha de Silva, a highly decorated officer who boasts of a 36-year-long career in the Sri Lanka Army, served as Army Chief of Staff between August 2013 and May 2014. He had previously served as the Commander of the Sri Lanka Army Volunteer Force. An old boy of Royal College, Colombo, Major General Krishantha de Silva will become the 21st Commander of the Sri Lanka Army, effective the 22nd of February.
Welcome back to the news. Moving on to more local stories. A shocking medical mistake where a vaccine meant for dogs was injected into a human patient was reported from Kaluthara.
An 84-year-old man was admitted to a private hospital in Kaluthara for a dog bite. He is a resident from Hinatiyangala in Kaluthara South.
We admitted him and then he was transferred to the OPD. The doctor who was there gave us a prescription for an anti-rabies vaccine. We were told to obtain it from the pharmacy.
Based on the doctor's prescription, the son of the victim of this mishap had purchased the vaccine from a nearby pharmacy. The hospital staff had injected the vaccine to the patient.
2 injections were used on my father. They told me that the same injection needs to be given again in 7 days. 7 days later, when I took the receipt of the pharmacy to obtain the vaccine, they told that there was a mistake and that the vaccine is given to dogs. I went to the hospital and told them about it. I said that the pharmacy had given me the wrong vaccine. They checked and said that a mistake had taken place. They said that a vaccine for animals had been injected to a human.
The victim of this medical mistake has taken measures to file a complaint with the National Health Institute of Kaluthara over this mishap. Thereby, all vaccines at the private hospital were sealed. Health officials later arrived at the hospital in question.
The doctor and the staff of the hospital accepted their mistake. They said that a mistake has taken place. He is in normal condition and the dog too is alive. What I say is that this is a mistake. But what if something more serious than this took place? What are we to do? We seek a just inquiry and that justice be meted out.
JP leader Anurakumar Dissanayake raised questions in Parliament today on publicity expenses for the 2013 Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting.
Sri Lanka is an island with an area of 65,610 square kilometers. More than 1.1 billion rupees has been spent on publicity for a single international summit hosted by this tiny nation. How is that possible?
The people of this country offered a response to this question on the 8th of January because these costs could not be borne.
I too am disappointed about this. There aren't even clear bills for some of the expenses, and we have to examine all of this.
857 million has been spent on the media unit. This was the cost of the media unit. Honourable Speaker, were they operating an entire planet at this cost?
Even a small child knows that this is not just. I pray that as government ministers, we will not have to answer such questions on utterly wasteful expenditure in the future.
A banquet was held for journalists at a cost of 1 million rupees. Honourable Speaker, I wish to know if these journalists were fed 5,000 rupee notes.
It is evident that not only journalists but a lot of people around them had been eating public funds.
Also in Parliament today, opposition leader Nimal Siripala de Silva raised questions regarding the concessions that have been given to the people through the interim budget.
Through the budget that was presented on the 24th of October 2014 and later adopted, concessions were given to pensioners in terms of an increase in their pensions. Will this government provide those concessions? Secondly, explain the true nature of the instant concessions that have been promised for public sector employees through the 100-day program.
I wish to note that the Mahinda Rajapaksa budget did not give a single cent to the ordinary public sector employee. What was said that 1,000 or 2,000 rupees would be given whether they had been in public service for 10 years, 20 years or even 100 years. I wish to note that neither this budget nor the two that preceded it gave a single cent to the ordinary public sector employee. We have called on all the wage boards and the private sector as well to discuss how we can provide these concessions.
Minister Mangala Samaravira says that a credible domestic investigation must be held into allegations of human rights violations in the country. Speaking in Parliament today, the Foreign Affairs Minister had this to say.
I state at this instance that we are prepared to work cooperatively with not only the United Nations and the Human Rights Council, but with all international human rights organizations. The Rajapaksa regime opened the doors for the international community to intervene in the internal affairs of our country. We are of the stance that there must be a credible domestic investigation into accusations of human rights violations which took place in Sri Lanka.
Views were also expressed at a news conference organized by the JVP today. There is no need for any international intervention. That is wrong. International intervention can be prevented only if we protect human rights within the country. For their part, they have given us some time. It should be our aspiration to protect human rights here following that postponement. We should deprive them of the space to publish interfering reports.
Moving on to other local stories, a rally calling on parliamentarian Jayantha Katagoda to resign from Parliament so General Sarath Fonseca can return to his seat commenced in Malabar this evening.
Democratic Party activists, including Western Provincial Councillor Susil Kindelpeti, were present at the rally.
There was the actor known as Jayantha Katagoda who was given the seat in Parliament. He in turn became a pet of the Rajapaksas by taking benefits and privileges and laying the mandate of 98,000 votes given by the people of the Patriot at the feet of the Rajapaksas.
The president that we hoped for has come into power. Whether we hoped for it or not, a government has been created for this country. This government must be sent in the correct direction. Correct appointments must be made. Fraud and corruption must be stopped. And a leader who does not have his hands dirty and can speak from the heart is needed in Parliament. That leader is not Jayantha Katagoda. It is the White Lotus Sarath Fonseca who has shed his blood for our country. Following the rally, the group commenced a protest march to the Talahena house of MP Jayantha Katagoda. The police deployed barricades close to the MP's residence and prevented the demonstrators from continuing onwards. MP Jayantha Katagoda had been in the house while the demonstration was underway.
The JVP says that authorities have become lethargic in pursuing investigations related to fraud and corruption. Addressing a media briefing in Colombo today, the JVP's propaganda secretary Vijay Herath had this to say.
අද වෙනකොට දවස් 43ක් ගත වෙලා තියෙනවා
43 days have passed since the presidential election. We are nearing the 50-day mark of the 100-day program. The government has not expedited investigations and initiated legal action against those whom various charges are levelled at. The day before yesterday, they said that a committee to investigate corruption had been appointed with cabinet approval. So the committee has been appointed 40 days later. This delay is too long. When the JVP lodged a petition with the Court of Appeal regarding KP, who was arrested in 2009, Suhad Gamlat, who represented the Attorney General's department in court yesterday, noted that the Attorney General is yet to receive a report from the police or any other security forces regarding this. This is truly nauseating. We suspect as to whether there is an invisible hand behind this. Former ministers and deputy ministers who were accused of thievery have been given 2 vehicles and fuel via a circular. Even former deputy ministers who are out of bail have been given vehicles and fuel. You cannot bring good governance by continuing on this road. The UPFA, which is the main opposition party, have said that they will support the 100-day program completely, out of fear that the people will be displeased with them. But underneath it all, they are trying to trip the program. We will do our best to ensure the success of the 100-day program.
Meanwhile, Arjuna Ranatunga visited the Civil Aviation Authority today in his capacity as the Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation.
The minister who arrived at the Civil Aviation Authority this morning inspected all its functions.
I need to say that I am somewhat disappointed. It is difficult to bear when the imposing of punishments on thieves is being delayed. We need to steer this country in the right direction and not to merely change seats. We will not cause any influence on you. I will not interfere here. It does not matter if you have to listen to what a politician has to say over the phone. But if there are unwanted influences, I will take care of it as the minister. No matter what party you belong to, do not bring politics in here.
The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption has appointed an investigating officer to probe transactions pertaining to acquisition of lands from people residing in Slave Island.
The appointment was made in line with a complaint lodged recently. The complaints claim that the Urban Development Authority had acquisitioned their lands and handed it over to a private company. They further claim that they have not been provided alternate lands or housing as yet.
They demolished our homes promising new housing. There was no organization. We want to know what the government is going to do for us now.
We have come here in the hope of receiving some relief. Almost 1.5 years have passed since our homes were demolished. They are yet to inform us on whether they will build new homes or what our fate will be.
The petitioners lodged a complaint on the 16th and the 19th. The Bribery Commissioner and the Director General granted us an interview today. An investigation officer has been appointed and we thank the Director General for this.
The petitioners are calling for a bona fide investigation into irregularities surrounding this project.
An event to mark the completion of 50 years for the Circuit Officers Union of the Inland Revenue Department took place in Colombo today.
Minister of Finance Ravi Karunanayake presided over the event, which saw the participation of Deputy Commissioner Generals, Senior Commissioners and Commissioners of the IRD along with other officers. Senior members of the union were felicitated at the event by the minister.
This is not a 100-day government. Will the 10,000 rupees mentioned in January be given? Will the 5,000 rupees be given in February? After you receive it, you will say, yes, we got it. After that, there will be questions, such as, is this for the salary? People who did not get an increase for the past 12 years are now asking as to where this will be included into. Is it not a big thing to have 10,000 rupees? Let us start from there. The government does not have an unlimited supply of resources. They are limited. When you collect and give us, we will give an increase.
Deputy Minister Dr. Harsha De Silva states that a permanent policy mechanism which does not change from government to government will be introduced. The minister made this statement at an event held in Udahamulla.
The event took place to present new buses to the Udahamulla bus depot, which falls under the purview of the Sri Lanka Transport Board.
අපි උත්සාහ කරන්නේ එන අවුරුදු
We are hoping to create a national government within the next few years and implement the basic policies in the country. The policies should not change with the change of government. We need to have a policy related to education, a policy related to health, a policy relating to transportation. So our ministry is at present actively involved in compiling these policies.
The 1 million tree stories campaign of Sri Lanka tourism was launched today at the Ministry of Tourism and Sports in Colombo. Incidentally, Rolene Strauss, who I'm sure our viewers will remember as Miss World 2014, graced the occasion.
The 1 million tree stories project was launched today in an attempt to drive Sri Lanka towards becoming a sustainable country and to promote a greener Sri Lanka. This project is a joint initiative by Sri Lanka Tourism, Rotary International and Miss World 2014.
We don't need to look at numbers. We must try to look at quality tourists who are going to come in, because it is only through that we can have a proper revenue coming into the hotels, so that we can make the revenues profitable. So that's the biggest challenge that we have. The industry is doing a fantastic job in terms of making sure that the people who come are satisfied. If somebody asks what does Sri Lanka has to offer, 8 wonderful days, 8 wonderful experiences. And we are saying beaches, we are looking at heritage, scenic, the wild, the festivity, thrill, the bliss and the essence. So these are our 8 promises to the world.
Aim is when a tourist comes here through this very innovative approach to get a tourist to sponsor a tree. So when he leaves the country, he will have the opportunity by giving $1. $1 to sponsor a tree. Then he is given a geotag and then he can see the tree coming up. So our target is not only 1 million trees, it's actually 10 million trees. And I hope that we can achieve that target, because Sri Lanka is coming out of a conflict situation. Our tourist numbers are increasing. We are trying to brand our country in a very high premium category. We have good governance and corporate structures. We are trying to build a new vision for Sri Lanka.
I think the project will really mean a lot to a lot of people. The 1 million tree story also reminded me of what my grandmother once told me when I was a little girl. She said that you're a flower from heaven's garden, and it is so important for us as people to take life from our environments, but also to give life back. So I think that it is really an amazing project.
The launch was marked with the planting of a token tree to mark the commencement of this global initiative.
The Newsfirst Gammadha program will be held on the banks of Aludyul Vav in Galin Bidunu Vav, Anuradhapura from 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Now, at this installment of the highly successful program, where people are given the opportunity to submit their problems directly to public officials and public representatives, the focus will be on problems faced by the agrarian community.
Stephanie Lazarus joins us from Galin Bidunu Vav with the latest.
The Newsfirst is on its way to Galin Bidunu Vav, Anuradhapura, where Sirasa TV is set to telecast its Gammadha program, where social economic problems are directly directed at officials, high-ranking officials, and this time around we will be having 2 high-ranking officials, one at the provincial council level, that is the Chief Minister of the North Central Provincial Council, coming in for the program, and we will also be having the Minister of Agriculture and Irrigation, Dumin Disanayake, coming in for the program, including the Secretary to the Ministry and other high-ranking officials. And here we will be seeing many who are working in the agricultural field, in the agricultural sector, especially the ones at the grassroots level, directing their problems at the officials who will be present tomorrow. And we will also be seeing how exactly these officials will respond to their grievances. So tune in to our sister channel, Sirasa TV, tomorrow at 10 a.m. to find out exactly how these problems are resolved.
Workers at the Umai project staged a demonstration today demanding the resumption of construction on the project, which has been temporarily halted.
Following a Newsfirst expose on the harmful impact that the construction of the Umaoya multipurpose development project had on local residents, the Deputy Subject Minister decided to temporarily halt construction. The Geological Survey and Mines Bureau is currently conducting research into the Umaoya project. However, workers at the Umaoya project say that they have lost their jobs as a result of construction coming to a halt.
The government's intervention in this regard is not sufficient. The previous government nor the current government have not looked into whether the contractors are carrying out the construction work properly or whether mining is taking place in accordance to standards and are they in accordance with good governance. This has resulted in the wells in Bandarawela to dry up. The farmers have faced a downfall. The only solution that they have taken is to let go of the employees who served here.
Well, while construction workers took to the streets in Umaoya, farmers took to the streets in other parts of the country. Agrarian communities in several parts of the island staged demonstrations today demanding the prompt resolution of problems faced by them.
Members of 37 farmers' societies in the Tamuttegama administrative division of the Anuradhapura district took to the streets of the Tamuttegama town today, blocking the Kurunagala Anuradhapura main road.
The farmer is always in distress. The divisional secretariat has distributed money to some farmers on the 15th of February due for the paddy, but we have not been paid. Why are we being treated like this? We too are farmers.
Officers of the Tamuttegama police arrived at the location and attempted to restore normalcy. Farmers in Kantale who were severely inconvenienced by inclement weather during the last season staged a demonstration opposite the Kantale Divisional Secretariat today.
We are unable to eat. Water was let go during the last harvesting season and also during this harvest season. No one is coming here and giving anything to us. We will have to die in hunger.
The Kalamutrinkamali main road was blocked for close to an hour as a result of this demonstration. Following the intervention of several officers from the Kantale police, a few of the demonstrators were granted an audience with officials at the Divisional Secretariat. The demonstrators submitted a letter to the officials, following which they dispersed.
Rosie Senanayake, the Minister of State for Children's Affairs, says that the long-awaited Child Protection Bill will be presented to Parliament in the near future.
An awareness program on building a legal framework to serve justice to the victims of child abuse was held at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute today.
There are numerous complaints that the police women who head the women's and children's units at the police stations are not sensitive when it comes to children's affairs. When children in probationary care are taken to court, they are transported in prison vehicles. It would be far better if they use separate vehicles when taking children to court. Even when I met with the Justice Minister, I questioned him about people who lay their hands on children being granted bail. How can they be given bail? If it is not because of political interference, then why? We need to have a special dialogue on this too.
I believe that the proposal for every court to allocate a single day for hearing cases regarding children is a very good proposal.
And on a lighter note, the staff at the Bibila Base Hospital had a very busy 24 hours from yesterday through to this morning. They successfully delivered 23 new babies in this time frame. Our provincial correspondent sent in this report.
33 expectant mothers were admitted to the Bibila Hospital. The staff of the Bibila Hospital worked tirelessly to help 23 of the expectant mothers to deliver the babies with care. 11 baby boys and 12 baby girls were brought into the world at the Bibila Base Hospital. This is a hospital located in a rural area. Around 27 expectant mothers were admitted to the hospital since yesterday. This is incidentally the first time a number of deliveries were made in a day with limited facilities.
රෝහලක අඩුපහසුකම් යටතේ මව්වරුන් මේ තරම් ප්‍රමාණයක් එක දිනයකදී ලැබුණු ප්‍රථම අවස්ථාවේ
A student felicitation ceremony of the Yoshida Shokanji International School in Sapugaskanda took place today.
The event was presided by the chairman of the Sri Lanka Mahabodhi Society, Venerable Banagala Upatisatero. The event was organized to facilitate Shane Dimanta of Yoshida Shokanji International School, Sapugaskanda, for claiming the Under-17 championship at the All-Island Amateur Swimming Championships. Sri Lanka Schools Aquatic Sports Association organised the championships, which were held at Ananda College on the 13th, 14th and 15th of this month. Swimmers from 135 schools participated at this meet. Making a statement at the event, Venerable Banagala Upatisatero said that over the past 15 years, society had undertaken a considerable amount of work to bring forth the talents of the students.
Tim Southey and Brendan McCallum rewrote the record books as New Zealand humiliated England by 8 wickets in a World Cup walkover in Wellington.
The sold-out crowd of 34,000 at Westpac Stadium witnessed just spotty 6 overs of action, and the floodlights weren't required for the scheduled day-night game. Southey produced the best spell by a New Zealander in one-day international cricket, taking 7 for 33 off 9 overs as the English capitulated for 123. Only top scorer Joe Root played the New Zealand seamers with any degree of comfort. Nobody else scored past 20. Black Cap skipper McCullum followed up with a breathtaking 77 off 25 balls as the hosts flew to 2 for 125 off 12.2 overs. New Zealand made it 3 for 3 at the tournament ahead of a mouth-watering pool game against co-hosts Australia at Eden Park on Sunday next week. England's second big defeat following a 111-run loss to the Australians leave them needing to beat Scotland in Christchurch on Monday to climb out of a sizable hole. England's 123 is their third lowest total in a World Cup.
Also in sports news, India's star squash player Deepika Pallikar has qualified for the finals of the Granite Open 2014 squash tournament.
Deepika Pallikar defeated fellow Indian Joshna Chinnappa in the semi-finals of the Granite Open 2014 squash tournament to make it into the finals. Incidentally, Chinnappa was Deepika's compatriot who won gold in the doubles event of the 2014 Commonwealth Games. Deepika Pallikar is currently ranked at 13 in the world squash rankings and won the semi-finals 3-1. Deepika, who is incidentally India's #1 squash player, will face either Amanda Zobi or Sarah Jane Perry in the finals of the Granite Open 2014 squash tournament.
And that's a look at your primetime news. I'm Katharina Chang.
And I'm Nadim Majid. Also, just to remind you, you can keep abreast of all of the stories that we're following here at News First by visiting our website, Newsfirst.lk. Alternately, you can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. On Twitter, use the handle at Newsfirst_EN. Have a pleasant weekend ahead. Good night and good luck.